Yeah, greetings to all of you, comrades. Welcome to our usual book review. We have been reviewing this book, Defeating Dictators by Dr. George. And today we are continuing with where we left. We are at the modus operandi on how dictators operate. So we'll be looking at the state of emergencies, martial laws, then we'll also be looking at issues to do with the opposition and how the dictators handle the opposition. So as usual, anybody who is willing to read for us, please feel free so that you can read for us. Then we can go ahead with our usual discussion and probably also share what you think about this. So anybody willing to read for us? Hope you can hear me, please. Welcome to you all.
Yes, I will read today.
Okay, thank you, Sister Tafwa. We'll start with the state.
Okay, I hope I will last the session because I've had problems with my internet. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Right, I'll start. States of emergencies and martial law. A despotic regime is always looking for some excuse to divert attention from economic failures and grand-scale looting of the treasury, and to decimate opposition to its rule. It may invent a, in quotation marks, national crisis, declare a state of emergency, and suspend the constitution and civil liberties in order to mobilize the people and resources to deal with the national crisis. Normally, a state of emergency is a governmental declaration that suspends one or more normal functions of executive, legislative, and judicial powers. It may also suspend some civil liberties and advise citizens to change their normal behaviors. In addition, some government agencies may be ordered to implement emergency preparedness plans. Such a declaration can be made in times of a natural disaster, such as droughts or floods, or during periods of civil unrest, war, or armed conflict. But despots often use these declarations, i.e. martial laws in the case of military regime, for nefarious purposes. States of emergency have been widely used by such despotic regimes as those of Hosni Mubarak of Egypt, repealed after he was ousted in February 2011, and Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe. North Korea's dictator, Kim Jong-II, constantly keeps his people on a war footing, largely to hide his failures and or divert their attention from their economic woes. The occasional saber rattling and harmless firing of a missile into the ocean achieved this sinister purpose.
Thank you. Let's pause there. Those are short reading, and thank you, Sister Tapua. If there's anybody who feels there's anything they can comment on that, feel free. On this state of emergency. If there'll be no comments, we'll move on to the next subheading. Anybody want to comment on that? The floor is open.
For me, the striking thing is that despots still want to operate within the bounds of the law, but they are manipulating it to meet their own needs. In other words, they're not blatantly coming out and saying, you're not going to do this, because they know the citizens will rebel. So they invent something to suit their needs.
Brother Benny also, thank you, Sister Tapua. Brother also.
Yeah, I think I would want to look at two categories of despots. There are some despots that actually would end up in actually improving things, and there are despots who would also end up in even making things worse. We look at the case of Mnangagwa, and then also we look at um, a person like Traore. You see, I mean, if you compare the two, you can, I mean, you draw a red line whereby um, Traore, at, at least from the onset, you can actually say that it's positive. And then you look at Mnangagwa right from the onset, you will find that he has to actually praise the people and praise the entire law in order to contain himself. Other than that, he should have been ousted. You see, there may be others like Cameroon. What is his name? I'm just missing it. And then also you go to Uganda and some few other places. And these people have entrenched themselves backed by the West. You see, so um, the word dispute actually, I think we should be able to also put that in the context of a positive dispute and a negative dispute. Yeah, that is what I would want to contribute. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comment on this state of emergency?
I think for me, it's just the oxymoron of putting positive and despotic together. It's because the word despot has connotations of being negative. And usually, in any situation, even in the Mubarak or Mugabe situation, there are people who are going to be happy with what's going on. So are we going to say they're positive despots? How are we going to determine who is positive and who is not?
Okay, I think that's very important, Sister Tapua, because we have been looking at despot in terms of the modus operandi. So how do they operate and run their country? And that's what defines them as either they're despots or they're not. Now, we are not focused on what is the product of that means. Because there are people who've been talking about benevolent despots. But those who talk about the benevolent despots actually judge the end result. With us, at this particular moment, we are not looking at what did he achieve by that despotic tactics. What we are looking at is how did he run the government? Is it infringing freedom of people, something like that, media? Is it about curtailing opposition? Now, if that is how he operated or she operated, that is what we define as despotic in terms of modus operandi. So we define despots based on how do they run their countries, not on what do they achieve. Now, what they achieve is something else. The question then will come in, do the end justify the means? Or is the means important towards the end? So, for example, of course, these are very famous quote by Malcolm X, by all means necessary. So must we achieve the end of that good government you want by all means necessary? For example, in Kenya here, if, for example, President Ruto maybe want to build a good road from Nairobi to the border of Kenya, and people go to the street and object it. Now, must he kill everybody else as long as he has to build the road to get it to Uganda? And once you get the road to Uganda, we do say now that it might not be despotic because he constructed a highway to Uganda. So we don't care about how many people did he kill. You don't care about how many people did he torture, who opposed that. What you care is that there's a road. These are conflicting situations that you also must be very critical on. But as I've said, is that at this particular moment, when you're looking at despotic regime and despot, in this chapter 4, we are looking at our mode of operation. And it's through their mode of operation that makes us say they're despots. Not through what they achieve from that method. That is another story. Because they can use despotic regime to achieve zero development. They can use despotic regime to achieve excellent development. But even if they achieve excellent development, don't we judge the process, or we should only focus on the end result? So those who?
Yeah, it's something that I'm just trying to fetch a suitable word. But in fact, if you look at even Europe, who are proclaiming democracy and shouting democracy today, in fact, much of what Europeans would praise as their heritage, as achievements, and the rest, I mean, they were all the things which came out of despot, leaders like Salaman, Hitler, and the rest that we can mention. I mean, it was a period that Europe had to contain these ones in order to advance. And it happened. And today, they look back and say that, because if I look at even democratic Europe now, I can't, personally, I can't see any visible thing which they can actually, um, look up to and say that at this period we achieved it. Much of what they praise European tourism and the rest is all on the achievements of these so-called despots, the era of despots. You see, coming to Africa, we may mention some of them. Unfortunately, in Africa, the majority might not have. We cannot reflect on their achievements per se, but at least the process of how they govern and how they entrench themselves also becomes more prominent. You see, um, look at even Nkrumah was called a despot. I mean, by the so-called Western people. But without Nkrumah, I don't think Ghana would be nowhere. I mean, it would have been underdeveloped country because Nkrumah positioned to actually entrench himself, be very firm, and to actually tackle the opposition in a way that, because the opposition were pro-British. In fact, they were more even up to today, like the MPP. They seem to want to play to the tune of what the West like, you see. But Nkrumah took a stand that he has to suppress them, you see. And for that matter, he was declared as a despot. But what Nkrumah achieved as a foundation for Ghana and even Africa is what, in fact, has saved Ghana so much that no matter which angle you take as to how Ghana is today, you can never, 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 fail to mention Nkrumah's role, which has been very critical. But then he has to be very firm. He has to be very rigid to ensure that nothing disrupts the course on which he is pushing things and to make things to happen. You see, so you have what you call the process, and then you have the achievement. You see, in Nkrumah's case, we can look at it that way. But look at, I haven't been to, a place like Cameroon, Uganda yet. But from what I hear also, I mean, those of you close by, I think we can look at these current ones also and say that that the end justifies the means. That is, I mean, the philosophy of that the end justifies the means. Does it apply to these ones? So I think I can end here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We will be looking at how they deal with the opposition, but for now we are looking at the state of emergency. But Sister Tapua, please come in.
I'm just wondering whether Traore is a despot. Is Traore a despot?
Now, you see, that's a very important question because we can have military despots or civilian despots. But I think what we need to focus on is that we talk about despotic regimes based on how they carry out their leadership. Not even how they came in, but how they carry out their leadership. Only that. Was it torturing people, killing people, detaining people, closing media stations? Was that how they conducted their leadership? We are not even focusing on what did they achieve with that. Because what they achieve with that is something else. You see, basically, there are two people take those two approaches in terms of diagnosis. Whether you say, maybe they use that in law, that it was for self-defense. But we need to check the fact that Traore came in through military doesn't make him a despot. It can only be a despot if, in the way of carrying out its leadership, is in a way that he curtails the freedom of people to share their thoughts or to criticize him, the freedom of people to engage. Either if there's a protest, does he stop people from protesting? Does he stop media from his local media from even criticizing him? Or those other things. So that's the only way we can start to analyze and say he's a despotic leader. So for now, maybe I don't have enough evidence to say that we're doing that to call him a despotic leader. But I want us to get two elements here. That we should not judge the product and forget about the process. Because if you're fixated on what was achieved without actually justifying or without inquiring what did it take to achieve that, then we will be missing something here. We'll be praising everybody. You see?
Okay. The reason why I'm asking this is, if we were to list what characteristics make up a despotic regime, I think I heard you say we don't have enough evidence. At what point do we say this regime is now despotic? Because all regimes at some point employ some of these tactics to embed their rule. So at what point do we say then this is a despotic regime and this one is not?
Now, at this chapter, Sister Tapua, we are trying to understand how a despotic regime operates, which means through the operations, we can understand whether they're despots or not. And we started by capturing, in the first place we were looking at the support base, if you remember.
Yes.
And we realized that this despotic regime are people who are word tenders to their guys, their relatives, whatever, their friends, you see, something like that. We ended up even looking at the military. What do they do with the military? You see, we looked at how do they now handle the media? How do they handle the judiciary? How do they even handle elections? And now, how do we even impose so-called state of emergency? And we're going forward on how do they deal with the opposition. Now, if a leader does what is written here, then you can call them despots. And that doesn't mean, that's what I'm saying, we should not also focus on how did they get to leadership or what did they achieve in their leadership. but rather on how did they manage their leadership.
Okay.
Like you see in democratic process, for example, when you're looking at the sharing of positions, realize like in Uganda, the president son is the commander in chief. I don't know the president's wife is in which position. The president's daughter, I don't know where is she. The president, cousin, and uncle, whatever. In that way, you can call that a despotic regime. Because it's like a family regime. So you have captured the total power. Another part, you realize that they close any critical opposition. You see, most of the time people will say that criticism or opposition is must be from where? The fact that we know that from consciousness that there's no a perfect society, which means there's dialectics in a society. And by trying to avoid dialectics in a society or suppressing, basically doesn't mean that you're a good leader. Sometimes accepting criticism is also some element of strong leadership, not suppressing criticism. Because if you don't want to hear any contrary thing, it means you know you're perfect. And there's no any perfect society based on what you've learned. Which means even some come through popular process. Like, for example, look at what Museveni told the people of Uganda when he came to power. They were from the liberation movement. Museveni himself was one of the fighters in the forest. He came in to assure people that he's going to change everything else, which works out. But over a period of time, realize that they move away from their initial intention. And therefore, they start operating differently. And that's why in understanding who is a despot, you don't even look at how they came in. Because people can come in as good leaders, military officers, for example, but they still use space for people to talk what they talk. And they do development. So saying that our leader is a despot because he came through military coup, that's not correct. But there's a tendency, what the book tells us is that a despotic regime undergo what you call self-destruction. Because like you're creating layers and layers of so much bureaucracy and protecting yourself. But we are moving away from what we had read before on how they use state of emergency. And they have put curfew sometimes. I don't know if it has happened in some of your countries where the government just says there's curfew now. And what do they do at that? I remember like in the recent protests in Kenya, in one of the area, they actually put a curfew. But what happened at that time when they put curfew? The police officers went out to murder people. So those are a few things. Sometimes even in Kenya, in fact, they like announced state of emergency because they wanted to release the military from the camp to come deal with the citizens. But you see, you cannot release military like that. So you need to create a situation that allows you to release the military to the population. Now they came up with that there was a state of emergency. Now the moment you bring that element, it means the military now are allowed to come in. But before that place, you cannot reduce the police officers. So they can create those issues. And that's why they say there was the Gen Z revolution of last year was a civilian coup. So that is what I want to say. But I want us to deal with what we are reading currently. Because we've looked at these various tactics. In fact, we're almost going towards the end of these tactics. So maybe when you finish this, you can say, okay, who now qualifies to be a dictator? Who now qualifies to be a despot based on what is said here? Not just saying that because he came in through military is a despot. No, that's not outrightly true. Baba Usu, then maybe Sister Tapo or anybody else will read for us this part of the dealing with opposition.
Okay.
Baba Usu?
Yeah. I'm listening to you. It's quite something that, for instance, I'm trying to look at, I mean, even South Africa here, even we have one of the best kind of democracies whereby we can even insult the president and nothing happened to us. I mean, I've seen even people like myself, like who were not born here, insulting the president. but nothing happened. Yet, we have a situation of opposition which is undermining the entire country's progress. I mean, taking DA into consideration. Who wants apartheid? I mean, things to be back. And Fortunately, in South Africa case, we don't have a government that is bent on suppressing them. You see, fine. It shows that we can say that this government is not, um, um, I mean, oppressive or is not forceful. Yes, people have been saying that the president is weak. Why? Because he is not actually maybe attacking or arresting people here and there. His critics and the rest is not doing anything, and people take it like, oh, this is a weak man. You see, but then at the same time also, we have places. Look at even like Eswatini, uh, where we have this traditional and at the same time, um, how do I put it, a political structure which, if there are oppositions are suppressed. You see, oppositions are suppressed. They are arrested, they are imprisoned, and so many things. Some even have been killed. Uh, you see, so it's it's the way we take it. Um, what should that word despot stand for? That is, we come to that level that what should the word despot stand for? And then, if in case a leader has to be actually forceful, um, because we have different type of leadership, and in the state building, you see, the I mean, from day one, there are different type of leadership that should apply in order to whether to achieve or to fail. You see, we need to take also that into consideration. But today, many South Africans feel that if they have a kind of forceful leader who can even say that, look, once you talk, we will just arrest you. They will prepare that once it delivers. But here we have a very laissez-faire kind of leadership. Free, they don't, you can do anything. Nobody will touch you unless you commit a crime. But then there's no delivery as within the expectation of the majority of the people. You see, uh, so
Yeah.
the word dispute itself, um, as I started at the first time I came in, what I said, I compared it to the European examples. Look at even someone like Hope Boigny. I mean, he was very firm. He didn't tolerate opposition, yet he achieved a lot. But you said we are not talking about the achievement, but the process of maybe not tolerating opposition, because why you don't tolerate opposition is that you don't want to hinder a process of delivery. You see, but what makes despot sometimes become, let me use the word venomous, you see, is that if they are not delivering, at the same time also, they are exploiting the people. They become selfish and greedy. You see, in this case, it explains itself that this person actually is in for our for evil. Uh-huh. But then the word of a despot also within the diction also means that where a person tries to use some force to push certain things through, you see. So that is where
Okay.
I think that
Okay.
we need to actually also whether we contextualize it within our context instead of looking at it like West, because today Western governments would look at any government that oppose them as a despot. Even
Roberto,
if yeah, if the
we look
people
at African traditional setup, which the author has also presented here before this chapter. The author talked about how even despots existed even in our traditional system, but how were they contained? And there were layers to contain that. For example, the Queen Mother was responsible. Sometimes in some community, it was even mentioned a community in Ghana that even they could actually drag the king on the floor in the roads in the villages if he was ruling wrongly the people. In some places, the Privy Council or the Council of Elders were also responsible to contain. So it doesn't mean that elements of being despotic was imported to Africa. It's a tendency that exists in a society. As they say, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. But how do you contain that corruption of absolute power? Because again, when you give somebody an absolute power, but that we'll discuss in this opposition level, because only when we talk about somebody being a despot is how do they handle opposite views. So in that regard, permit me to ask Mr. Tapua to read for us the opposition level so that then we can have a proper conversation here. Because we are judging who is a despot or not based on how they handle opposite views to their leadership. So let's read here and then we can now contextualize our conversation to the text.
Okay, right. Dealing with the opposition. Opposition to despotic rule originates from several quarters. Parliament. If one is allowed to exist and has not yet been turned into a rubber stamp, the intelligentsia, professors, writers, novelists, editors, students, etc., civil society organizations, and churches or mosques. In each case, the despotic regime uses a carrot and stick approach to neutralize the opposition. Opposition MPs may be enticed with cabinet positions or government appointments. If they refuse, life can be made difficult for them. Dissidents and opposition leaders are always kept under heavy surveillance. Surveillance, however, can morph into abduction. Chinese rights activists still worry about the fate of Ding Zilin, the head of a group of relatives of victims of the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown, who disappeared along with her husband, Yang Pikun, on October 14, 2010. In Shanghai, activist Feng Zhuang was taken away by police in October 2010 and has not been heard from since. The universities are often hotbeds of opposition to tyrannical rule, as they are places for the free exchange of ideas. University students have often started street protests that turn into a people's revolution, as in Indonesia, Tunisia, Egypt, and Sudan. The free exchange of ideas at universities is anathema to a dictator who may deal with them in several ways. He may buy off the professional elites with ministerial posts, a diplomatic posting, a directorship of a state corporation, a Mercedes-Benz, or a government bungalow. The worst of the lot are probably the intellectuals, in particular the university professors, lecturers, or highly educated. They are supposed to understand such elementary concepts of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Yet, for a pittance, some are too willing to serve as intellectual prostitutes, selling their conscience, principles, and integrity to hop into bed with the despicable despots. He may infiltrate the universities with bogus student revolutionary organs, such as university guards in Iran, whose sole purpose is to spy on professors, lecturers, and students opposed to the regime. Professors may be intimidated, hounded, harassed, jailed, or even killed. Thousands of professors and intellectuals have fled China, Iran, Myanmar, and many African countries. He may also reduce funding to the universities, like Trump. This was the tactic of the military regimes in Liberia and Nigeria. In country after country in Africa, where military rule was entrenched, universities and colleges decayed because they were starved of funds by the military. Oops. Although the official excuse is invariably lack, Although the official excuse is invariably lack of funds, the military predators always find the wherewithal to purchase shiny new bazookas for their thugs. But the real reason is that educated people are a threat to semi-illiterate military brutes because they know their rights and can challenge them. Autocrats employ a variety of techniques, ranging from subtle to the ruthless, to frustrate opposition leaders and prevent them from winning power. Despots may defang or neutralize opposition parties in several ways. They may ban them outright or severely restrict their activities by requiring them to secure police permits before holding rallies, or restricting the number of people who can attend such rallies. Where permits are required, several days advance notice may be demanded, giving the despotic regime sufficient time to organize counter-demonstrations or hire thugs to disrupt opposition rallies. Incumbent advantage is ruthlessly exploited to ensure that the political playing field is never level for the opposition. The despot controls the transition to democracy, writes the rules of the game, and appoints the electoral commissioner, as well as the constituent body that will write the constitution to his liking. The electoral law of Zimbabwe, for example, gives President Mugabe the power to approve or invalidate the results of any general election. Beyond this rigged system, there are other ways of neutralizing the opposition. Cooptation may be tried first. A harsh government critic may be offered a high-level appointment to silence him. Cases abound, for hundreds of intellectuals and opposition leaders have fallen prey to this tactic and joined despotic regimes. If a political party refuses to cooperate with the despot, it may be infiltrated and destroyed from within. A mole who reports on the movement of key opposition party officials may be planted. Then a plot may be hatched to waylay an opposition leader during travel. Some mysterious road accident puts him away. An attractive female decoy is often used to infiltrate opposition parties and organizations. If an opposition group is dominated by one ethnic group, a despot may recruit another ethnic group to battle, the first in the classic divide and conquer tactic. Similar tactics may be employed against civil society organizations. They may be banned, denied registration permits, or infiltrated. Churches, which are often vocal critics of dictatorship, are usually warned to stay out of politics. If the elites cannot be bought, a silent and effective method is to pauperize them by blacklisting or depriving them of revenue. No state establishment or a private business concern, for fear of being blacklisted itself, will offer an ex-government critic a job. When subtle tactics fail to work, dictators may resort to terror and intimidation. The secret police or paramilitary organizations are another way to suppress any sign of dissent or revolt and ruthlessly pursue critics who may be arbitrarily detained or even killed. A civilian or military agency, or often both, conducts intelligence and surveillance to sniff out conspiracies. Such an agency may also infiltrate opposition organizations to report on their activities, plant malicious disinformation, or even destroy the organization from within. Moles are generously rewarded. Divide and conquer is an ancient stratagem employed by the colonialists. In the colonial period, tyrants have employed it with brutal relish to render the opposition ineffective. Since most developing countries are polyethnic, dictators have played one ethnic group against another to maintain their grip on power. Muammar Qaddafi has been a master at this. The tactic may even be employed along occupational, workers versus employers, or professional, students versus lecturer lines.
Oh, thank you. We'll stop there. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you very much, Sister Tapo, for the reading. You are free
You're
to
welcome.
share your thoughts. Anybody is free to share their thoughts. The good thing we encourage in most of our classes is that we allow you to share your thoughts. This text is not a dogma. It's not the Bible. It's an author sharing his thoughts, and all of us are allowed to share our thoughts because we create what we call critical thinking. So we are not here to do anything else, but you are free to share your thoughts. That's why we do our review and discussion. So anybody who is willing to share anything they thought caught their attention, feel free to come in.
I think for me, I've seen most of these play out in Zimbabwe. Crazy stuff. All of them, in fact.
But do you agree with them being branded like being dictatorial?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, the rewarding of professionals with some good bungalows, Mercedes Benz, and the rest.
Yes, I've seen it. One of my relations in the 80s, late 80s, was actually co-opted into government because he had a big mouth and he didn't survive. He didn't last long. He had an accident which nearly killed him because even after he'd been given that position, he continued to mouth away.
The universities, they
Right.
are saying these intellectuals in the universities are a big problem to despots. Have you experienced that?
One of the ones that come.
Sister Tapo, I can't hear you. Okay. Sister Tapo, can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I wanted to call you Sister Chisomo because Sister Patapo is seeming to be disappearing. Sister Chisomo, your country is good in accidents. Accidents are being mentioned here.
Everything you've read there, I came in, I don't know what was read before that, but everything that you've said here is just so true. And I was just thinking, how do they know to do these things? As far as I know, my politicians have not been to any political studies, whatever. Does this mean these leaders are speaking to each other, colluding and telling each other? I know lately they've been traveling a lot, leaders going to each other's countries. Could it be that that's what they discuss? Just do this, just do that, deal with them like this, deal with them like that? Because they seem to be doing the same thing, and the book documents it very well.
Does it mean that they also maybe go through some training to learn these tactics? There's a school, maybe silent school, of how to run power. Maybe we don't know.
I think by their meetings, maybe they phone each other. I don't know. But it's frightening that it's the same pattern, and the book explains it very, very well. Because when it happens, we don't actually recognize it. As the book says, they have a way of dealing with us, and stick and carrot thing and whatever, these incentives, those incentives. As a result, people are blinded. They don't understand what's going on. I've been listening to some disturbing videos lately, especially for South Africa, because South Africa seems to be well advanced in these things. And I was thinking, do we have any hope as a people? Is all this voting that we do taking us, because we're going through elections right now in Malawi, and do you think there even any purpose to going through these exercises? Because among themselves, they've organized them, although they look like some are in opposition and some are in government, but they all seem to be colluding and organizing themselves. And then all we do is go and vote according to the arrangement they've given us.
Now, it's very interesting, Chisomo, what you're raising. Especially when you see where they're talking about co-option, it's being tried first. So the first thing they do is to try to co-opt you. So they come to approach you. Will you be willing to join the government so that you stop making your noises? So they give you a lot of positions.
Yeah, and that's what's currently happening. People are shifting from this party to that party, this one to this party. Sometimes you get a little phone call here, and because you're not understanding what they're doing and how they're organizing themselves, it's even difficult to get involved, if you see what I mean. And it's really, really worrying. And as Tapua was reading, I was just searching on despotic leadership. and then the effects of it on society. It's frightening because you hear about people committing suicide, people doing this, people doing that, people doing things, just become so despairing, and I suppose that's the whole reason why they do it, to just weaken us and weaken us and weaken us until we just can't do anything about it. We try and try. Kenya is trying. Everybody keeps saying Kenya is trying. I was listening to another YouTube, I think I've shared it, where a guy is explaining the South African situation. He's highly educated, he's experienced, he's been arrested, he's been all sorts happening to him, banned on the internet, banned on all these platforms. But even he feels we can't do much about it. Especially the Ramaphosa situation. He says Ramaphosa is the most powerful black person in South Africa, and there's nothing they can do until the day he steps down.
Now, you see, Sister Tapoa, just to add on this conversation, it's like, I think with the uprising in Kenya, we have been able to read the same script, and we also wonder the same thing you're wondering. Whether do they learn it somewhere? The first thing is that
but it's the same pattern.
the longest serving opposition leader in Kenya was co-opted into government. But what he did not get the position. But he said that he's bringing his people from his party to be technical experts to help the government. Now, he appointed the two deputy party leaders of his party given ministerial jobs. The chairperson of his party given the ministerial job in government. Another member of the party given ministerial, so they have all crossed over from opposition to be ministers in a government. Now, there was a young man who was in the streets during the protest. He was speaking good English, very polished, very vocal, very revolutionary. And one day they are saying that he was being hunted by the police officers. He ran into a media station in the city. Now, after a period of time, he was seen with CIA agents being interviewed, and he came out in public. One white man started him somewhere. The next day, he was seen with the politicians that are pro-government and the opposition. The next day, he's seen that he's receiving a president in a conference somewhere. The people are like, hold on. Were you in the street with us? 100 of our fellow died. Then he crossed over. Then the next day, he was seen with the opposition leader on a flight chopper attending an event in the village. Today, he has been taken to America, what they call leadership training, sponsored by the so-called party. He's enjoying big cars there, big life, driving himself, playing all those good things. Then everybody says that, no, let him enjoy his life. The opposition saved him from the street. He was almost being killed. So the government saved you. You want to say the government saved you from killing you. So the government has sponsored him out there. And many young people are saying, no, why do we continue opposing the government? Why don't you also go enjoy life like customers and enjoying life? Other people say, oh, you young man, you tried your best. Nobody asked you to go fight for them. Now eat your own things because nobody cares. But again, other people are saying now he's being groomed. He'll be coming back very strong. He might be the next politician. All those things are going on. Another young man, again, who was exposing government projects all over. He started a Twitter asking people to donate money for him so that he could fund his vehicle to go expose government projects. People sent him a lot of money. Then over a period of time, he even said that they were donated for him an office, a very big home. People asked him, who gave you the money? He refused to tell the people. Then he said that he's registering a political party. The party was not even fully registered. He started selling party brands, T-shirts and whatever. There was no name like that. He only reserved a name in the political office, but he was moving around calling himself a party leader. He wanted to be the president of 2027. A young Gen Z like myself, in fact, he's my age mate, 28, 29, my age mate. Then people, one day he was seen with the opposition team, now the MP deputy president. He started the group of those old politicians. People say now you betrayed the movement. Slowly he come out and say, no, I realize those old people don't have any idea, so I've walked out from them. He claimed he's independent a bit. The people started asking, now, can you give us account? Because even he bought a vehicle using the money that was being donated. Kenyans donated. That guy was receiving almost millions of Kenya shillings daily. He was taking directly to his mobile account, M-Pesa. So when people asked him too much, then he started now defending this young man who was taken to the government. He came one day and said, no, why don't you forgive that young man so that he can join the movement? People said, no, he's a sellout and you're also a sellout. The fact that you're trying to defend him so that we bring him back to the movement, you two are sellouts. People started calling this young man a con man. Then recently, I think when he exposed government too much and he was a young entrepreneur, I don't even know how he made millions of money because he has a very countrywide furniture company, very many of them. And he still demanded people to donate money for him. So he said that when he criticized government too much, the government sent a revenue authority, Kenya Revenue Authority, to go check on his tax submission. And then the government said that he has not paid tax equivalent to 27 million Kenya shillings.
Oh, yeah.
So then he just spoke the other day. He said that politics alone messed up his entire business. His KRA pin was withdrawn, the revenue pin was withdrawn. He cannot open an account, he cannot receive money in his account. His business is just stopped there. Any money that other people buy furniture cannot go into his account. Now, what he did recently, I think government bought him. So when the government came for his business, I think he had to go slow. So he was co-opted slowly, but never given position. So then we saw him funded. He went to Burkina Faso, trying to monitor how the projects are going there. He came to South Africa, even went to EFF office to show that he's proactive. But what you can silently read is that he's now being prepared again to come and manipulate the young people in the next election, that they're the true leaders who direct the citizens. So today he has come back, he's very bitter. When he's being asked how much money did you receive, what did you use our money for, he's abusing everybody left, right, and center, telling them, can you go pass your account number here, I'll refund you all the money you have sent to me. So it's similar script, but now even in our revolution of the Gen Z, you see what they are applying. Similar script so that they can capture the defending voices. Anything you have to say from that? Then maybe you can get to Brother Usu or Brother Sawindok or even Brother Madodo.
It's frightening because if you remember, Malawi had a rerun in the last elections where the opposition, almost the whole opposition, came together to then boot this one out. They did not deregister their parties, but they all came together, choose one leader, and then it's like you're voting leader. So all your party members will vote for this one leader. Because we vote for a leader, we don't vote for the party. So we vote for a leader. So they put this one person there. So this person looks like he's one, but it's alliance. They called it an alliance of 9 parties to beat this guy. And then that wasn't enough. They had to change the law to make sure it doesn't give him a loophole or any chance of either coming back. So they changed the law to say to win the elections, you have to have scored so much. Is that a rerun? That's not a rerun. And the people standing on the rerun are different from the ones that competed in the first one. So the whole thing was kind of rigged and rigged and rigged and rigged. So the alliance started. Within a month, they fell out because the position were not granted. I suppose they were given the money, but in terms of running the government, they were left out. Now, the same people have gone back to the person that they were doing that to last time to now do that to this one. And you just wonder, where is the logic and what do they think about us? Them just rearranging themselves, rearranging themselves, rearranging themselves. And what does this guy do? Because they are expecting him to then say, okay, we are sorry, we did wrong, put us back in, give me. But when they're coming back, I understand they're saying, I want to be the vice president. I want to be the vice president. So the guy has said, no, you just come if you have to come, but don't start making commands to say, I'll come as a vice president. There's so many of you. How will I make all of you vice presidents? And what does he do? He takes the woman who was running the elections at the time, the elections that was disputed, the very woman who was accused for rigging, for putting Tipex on one of the papers, as the vice president. And that shook people yesterday. The whole country didn't know what to do because they were all rooting for this guy. Then basically what he's saying is, in fact, that's what he said when he was putting his nomination papers. I told you, you're making a mistake. You didn't want to believe me. Now you've understood what's going on. I'm now vindicated. So basically, let's move on from where we stopped. And all of a sudden, people are cheering. They're not saying, oh, why have you done that? Why have you done that? Meanwhile, the other people were thinking that would be a turnaround for people to say, why are you bringing this woman? You should have taken that one. You should have. He says, I'm not doing politics of appeasement. I want technocrats. And that's the woman I've chosen to be my vice president. So now the other people who wanted to make this alliance don't know what to do because they know they don't stand a chance in that government. It's just so sickening.
Thank you, Sister Chisoma. Let's hear what Sawindo has to say. Sawindo? And welcome to members of Jonas. Can you introduce yourself first? Sawindo, hold on a bit. We have Loinis and we have Madondo. Loinis, can you introduce yourself? Where are you joining us from? Loinis?
Good evening. My name is Lanis Westbiningo, and I'm tuning in from Yaoundé, Cameroon.
Wow. Welcome, Sister. Feel most welcome. Thank you. Brother Usu, we now have somebody from Cameroon. I know you are asking from Cameroon. We are doing a review of the book Defeating Dictators. And at this particular moment, we've just read how the dictators deal with opposition leaders. So I'll be moving the script a bit as people do their contribution. Maybe you can catch up with the text and you might be able maybe to put in your comments. But I'll be moving the screen slowly so that you can have some reading as well. We've done the reading, now we are sharing our thinking. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Thank you. Honorable Madodo, can you introduce yourself? Madondo? Okay. Sawindo, you can go ahead.
I'm struggling with electricity here. I don't have much to comment for now. Can you pass?
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to know from Sister Tapua, but I do not see. I can see she's not here.
Yeah, she's struggling with the internet as well.
What is oxymoron?
What is oxymoron? Brother Usu will explain that to you. Brother Usu, kindly explain to Brother Windhoek what is oxymoron, but also feel free to share your thoughts on this element of the opposition. Brother Usu? Brother Usu, can you hear me? Okay. Brother
And
Usu,
tell me, Brother Pigeon, before,
yes.
While Benny is coming, if for somebody to be called a despot, does he have to do all these things, or just one of them will qualify him to be a despot?
That's a very good question.
For instance, all rights are respected. Constitution is abode by, and now comes this time for general elections, and he just tempers slightly with the general elections and he wins. Just for that one simple tampering with the election results, will he qualify to be a despot?
Now, if you tamper with that election for 30 years, like Museveni,
Just once.
for 30 years, like Museveni.
Just once, and he added only 1,000 votes to win.
I don't know. So you are desperate on who? I don't know. That's a very important question. Let me hear what others think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Benny, also, are you able to come in? If you're not able, then allow Brother Madondo to introduce himself and maybe say hi. Madondo? Honorable?
Please unmute my microphone.
You're unmuted.
Salutations and solidarity greetings. My bona fide gentlemen, Pick Bin, right, we have met several times in several sessions and discourses. I would like to extend gratitude and also salutations to the other comrades who are here. Thank you so much for granting me such a privilege and this opportunity to speak and also contribute to this trending discourse. I'm quite impressed by the topic. The topic is quite, it is fascinating and it is quite very relevant to the politics of Southern Africa. The politics of Africa at this nascence of artificial.
Honorable Madondo, you have muted yourself. I have not muted you. You have muted yourself, Honorable Madondo. So can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So yeah, thanks a lot. So were you getting me in the previous dialogue?
Yeah, I was getting you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this present juncture where we are as the continent of Africa, allow me to say that governance has now been the axle or the center where our problems are currently emanating from, where our problems are currently coming from. The issue of governance, especially the issue of despotism, dictatorship, the issue of incumbents who are busy retaining power, the issue of retention of power. So at one point in time, my professor in political science, in a political science lecture, posed a question. He said that you students of political science, where do you think or what is power, or where do you think power lies on? Then some of us, I remember the other lady coming from Sudan, said that power comes from the constitution. Then the professor said, if I tear this constitution, he was holding a constitution by his right hand. If I tear this constitution and turn it apart, then can we deduce that we no longer have power? Then everyone was in denial in that lecture. Then others said that power lies or comes from the people. Then he said that, so you and me, we are individuals. You are intending that power lies in us. So if we are from this lecture room, can we say that we have power? Then everyone was in denial. Then finally he said that power lies in the military. Power is in the military. He who controls the gun, the tear gas, and the tanks has got the power. That's why the president is the commander in chief. So the problem in Africa is the military. We need to demilitarize the continent of Africa, demilitarize politics, and also depoliticize the military. The military currently in Africa has been on the center stage of controlling the cogs of democracy. Yes, Pan-Africanists were ascending of discourses with the discourse of oiling the cogs of democracy, but we will do nothing so long we have. But those with ideas, I know Pygmy is full of ideas, theoretical ideas. He is also, I don't know, I am not sure if he is a pragmatist, but he's full of ideas. But those with ideas are without power, and those with power without ideas. Yes, we have so many ideas, books of ideas. The libraries are full, but we do not have power. And power is now in the hands of incumbents, who also controls the military tigers and tanks. So the opposition currently are toothless bulldogs. Therefore, yes, they might have freedom. In the constitution, it is written that we have freedom of speech, but we do not have any freedom after speech. Alternatives, descendants' voices. So I'm speechless about how Africa is being ruined by the so-called liberation movements or ruling parties.
Thank you.
Yes, let us have a paradigm shift, ladies and gentlemen. Let us speak. Let us proffer for alternatives. Chama Pinduza must go. We must have alternatives
Do you know?
of Zimbabwe.
Do you know what, Honorable Madondo? Do you know what Chama Pinduzi means?
I don't know.
In English, it means the Party of Revolution.
Okay.
So if you say the Party of Revolution must go,
no.
But no, Brother Madondo, I get you because it was the Party for Revolution. But does it live to the revolutionary principles today?
No.
Does
Look
it
at Museveni.
Does it?
No. Museveni was a protagonist of the revolution of the revolution. But currently, yes, I was reading a Leninist Marxist book at one point in time. It said that the revolution, it may end up being usurped by vultures, parasites, and the cankerworms of the revolution. Every revolution will be hijacked by those who are not revolutionaries. Even if you look at we have an asymmetrical reproduction of the neoliberal sentiments in any revolutionary parties. Those who concentrate on amassing wealth and at the expense of the peasants, at the expense of the suffering masses of Africa, of the African continent. Okay. People are wallowing in poverty.
Okay, Brother
Yet
Madondo,
we say for the revolution. Yes.
Thank you. Let me hear what Sawidok is saying. But you see, in the first paragraph of this sentence, he's saying that the opposition to despotic rules might originate from parliament, if one is allowed to exist and has not yet been turned into a rubber stamp. How many parliaments in the continent are rubber stamps today? It can also come from the intelligentsia, which is the professors, the writers, the novelists, the editors. It might also come from the civil societies. It might come from the universities, the churches, and the mosques. But one thing is, in each case, the despotic regime uses a carrot and stick approach to neutralize the opposition. The opposition MPs might be enticed with cabinet positions, government appointments. If they refuse, their life can be made difficult. Those who are having different opinions are actually allowed to be under heavy surveillance. And this heavy surveillance has been seen in different countries. Now they say again the universities, which were often the hotbed, and you must understand why are the universities becoming the hotbed for opposition? Maybe because of the level of their conscience. Now when they become hotbeds to the tyrannical rule, as they are places for free exchange of ideas, then the university students often were part of the street. In Kenya here in 1980s, there were university students who were leading this. So still under that, many things come in. But Sawindo, what do you want to say? on this? Please come in, Sawindo.
I just have got one question on based on what Honorable Madodo has just said. He said we must stand up and speak. What will the speaking help if we don't have the power? He said the power is in the military, but then we must speak and do what? In my opinion, the solution will just be to capture power, and that is to capture military. If at all anything has to work. Thank
Very
you.
interesting. Very
I will
interesting.
forward you. I will forward you a clip. I will forward you a clip soon after this session. I will forward you a clip of militarism. How can the military usurp power or topple any government? This is tantamount to what has been utilized by Ibrahim Traore. Is a captain. He was a junior military commander. But I'll send you a clip about the hierarchy of the army, the military types of coups, palace coups, etc., counter coups, and the traps of coups, the disadvantage of coups, how it is so feasible to have a coup or to launch a coup in Africa. The effects of all this. I will send you a clip about that.
Okay.
Let's keep in
Thank you.
touch.
Thank you
Okay, thank
so
you.
much.
I'll get it. Madondo send it to me, then I'll send it to Sawindo. Brother
Thank
Usu, you might be speaking from some level of too much of the groundwork on this. What do you think about what he said here? Are these actually some of what he said here can be element of dictatorship? Are they really qualifying to be element of dictatorship to you in regards to this, how government handled the opposition? Have you been a victim of this? I know you might have been one. Brother Usu?
Sorry, are you speaking to me, Honorable Pygmy?
No, I'm speaking to Brother Ousu, who is with us here.
Oh, thanks.
Brother Ousu, can you hear me? It seems Brother Ousu can't hear me, or he can't unmute himself. But now we are seeing various news here. Sister Chisom has just confirmed that that's true what's going on in most of the country. They even reduced university funding. I remember one time when I was in the tea farm, I was working when I was in the university. I was part of the protest for the workers' protest to demand for the collective bargain. What was agreed? I 20 or 21 years. But do you see what happened? Actually, the company came with a policy that moving forward, they will never employ any university student. Maybe because they thought that we were very elite or were very open. Today, the protest in Kenya is being led that the students who are disturbing the government today, who are called the Gen Zs, are actually a product of free education that was initiated by the President Muammar Qaddafi. People relate sometimes that education has some elements to bring up people who can stand for their right or who can actually speak against autocratic regimes. Whether that is true is something to be justified, but they tend to believe to know what is wrong and they can be able to come in to actually correct what is wrong. But beyond this, you're also seeing that the despot might actually neutralize opposition parties. They can, and Brother Windhoek, I am really interested to draw your attention to this. In this paragraph, they say that the despot might ensure that one, leave alone when you take the permit for you to protest. Like in Kenya here now, they're coming with the law. Based on the so many protests we had as Gen Z, that you now must provide a notice early enough for the police officers to prepare. What do they prepare for? Basically, these issues of hiring their thugs to disturb the opposition rallies have been seen in Kenya in this recent protest where people are now having the thugs, we call them goons, who are walking alongside the police officers and they're beating citizens in the street just in the name of trying to actually work with the government. But Brother Windhoek, I wanted to draw your attention to this paragraph here in the political party. It's very interesting here that I want to read it. It says that in the political party setup, if political party refuses to cooperate with the despot, it may be infiltrated, destroyed from within. Amolo reports on the movement of key opposition party officials may be planted. Then a plot may be hatched to waylay an opposition leader during the travel, and some mysterious road accident puts in him or his way. An attractive female decoy is often used to infiltrate opposition parties and organizations. If an opposition group is dominated by one ethnic group, a despot may recruit another ethnic group to battle the first ethnic group. So, in what you call divide and conquer tactics. I'm very conscious because I'm building a political party in Kenya here, and I'm very conscious in this. That's how we know. What do you have to say on this?
It is every day happening. It is happening every day. I don't want to use myself as an example.
But how do you avoid this?
My car has been shotted 3 times.
Ah.
The very beautiful women has been sent to me that you do not know. They end up in my house. I wouldn't know how they ended. So these are practical.
I'm yet to experience this.
These are practical tips. These are practical tricks that they will employ on you. So they are very serious. Despots don't want, and like in Namibia, maybe we wouldn't say Namibia is a despotic state that much, but it is. But the tactics that they employ are tactics of serious despotic states. They don't want to leave any room for, they don't want to leave anything to chance. So it is happening. It is in real life.
I know I'll be experiencing this in real life because you see, I'm very conscious of building the party. They might come in. I've realized in Kenya here, the one member was a party leader, and the meeting was organized, and they impeached him from being a party leader, and the new party leader was imposed. And they said the party is not yours; the party belongs to the member. So we have said we are the new party leader. What's the problem? So if you refuse, they might come for you. Anyway, it's very interesting. I like what I'm reading because it prepares you to know really that this is what it is.
If you are vying for presidency, you must really be strong and you must be brave and you must be prepared to die. Don't fear death. If you have to fear death, don't even attempt.
Okay, let's see what's going on. Sister Lorraine, is there element of despotism in Cameroon? Or there we are at least better? Sister Lene?
Yes, I'm here.
Is there element of this what you are reading here also playing in Cameroon? Or there's not any level of despotism?
Yeah, that as well as we say tribalism or ethnocentrism. Yes, it's very strong here. As you know, the president has been in power for more than 4 decades. So it's very difficult for the people to change that system. They have it well handled. And I agree with the statement of a caller is that it's the military that really prevents people from maybe doing what they did during the French Revolution.
Yes, Sister Lorraine? Fawindo, what is it? I know you're coming in.
You see, when they come after you, like the one time they shot at my car, I went straight to the police station, and you know what they asked me? Did you see anybody? No, I didn't. I was driving. How could I have seen somebody? Do you suspect anyone? Yeah, I suspect the state. How do you how do you suspect the state? I was passing a military base, and those are the only people with guns in that area. So no, but we can't open a case if you don't have anybody specifically that you are suspecting. But then I insisted you should at least record it in the occurrence book. They recorded it in the occurrence book. The next morning, I wanted to come and get a copy of that occurrence book. That page is not in the book. So that's how ruthless they are.
Okay. Very interesting. Frank Creative, who is this? Please can you introduce yourself? I know you've joined us. Frank Creative. Frank, let's know who you are. Frank?
I just joined from a link. I'm not even. I'm following now. Orlando shared the link, so I'm in. Simba shared the link. So.
Oh, Orlando Simba. Okay. Now welcome. This Pigeon from Kenya. Hope you're also from Kenya.
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you very much. You're feel most welcome. We always have a safe space, so we tend to know each other, who is this, who is where. So, Honorable Madondo, you are in Ghana, I believe so. Is it in Zimbabwe or Zambia?
I'm currently in Zimbabwe at this moment.
Zimbabwe, where Sister Tapoa is, and Sister Tapoa was telling us that it's the same script being played in Zimbabwe. Brother Ben Ausu, I really wanted to get your opinion. Ben, Brother Ausu is in South Africa, but also from Ghana, and he could share with us what's going on there. Because he says Sister Lones is also saying it's the same thing going on in Cameroon. Tawindok is the same thing going on in Namibia, and Sister Chisom is the same thing going on in Malawi. But it's very important that we also understand that the despot used a divide and conquer rule. But one thing is what this book says here, and this paragraph, when they say that when the subtle tactics fail here, let's focus on that. It says that when the subtle tactics fail to work, dictators may resort to terror and intimidation, just the same way they did to Sawindok. The secret police or paramilitary organizations are another way to suppress any sign of dissent. And that's what Madondo is saying here. Because they ruthlessly pursue critics who may be arbitrarily detained or even killed. Now, a civilian or military agency often both conducts intelligence and surveillance to sniff out conspiracy. Such an agency may also infiltrate opposition organizations, report on their activities, plant malicious disinformation, or even destroy the organization from within. In Kenya, and my friend here is from Kenya, Frank, we have witnessed this in the Gen Z revolution. We've actually witnessed this at play. And what Sister Lenes is saying in Cameroon is what is being shared here in the tactic that Muammar Qaddafi used. We've come across Muammar Qaddafi that he was using a divide and rule between his community. So his community, as much as we are not talking about whether or what he did in his country, but his community was the majority community in that country. So what he did, he was always ensuring that his community was given an upper hand. And therefore, they could always support him. And that has been used in several times where you try to do a divide and rule thing so that you can always have the people from your majority supporting you. So we will be looking at the crackdown of the street protest. That will be in the next class. But I also want to echo this element of the elite, which has also been shared here. That if the elites cannot be voted, and you have the elites which you have mentioned, especially the university lecturers and those other people, if the elites cannot be voted, a silent and effective method is to be procured. Them by blacklisting them or depriving them of revenue and ensuring that there's no company will or any agency will be able actually to employ an ex-government critic for any job. We have seen this also happening. And what is very interesting when the author is mentioning something here, that the elite sometimes compromise. The elite compromise. Where is it? There's somewhere here they say the elite compromise actually to support a despot, irrespective of their knowledge and information they have. If somebody can remind me where that was, and he used a very important term to mention those elites. Yeah, here in the first point, he says that the despot may buy off the professional elite with a ministerial post, a diplomatic posting, a directorship of a state corporation, a Mercedes-Benz, or a government bungalow. The worst of the lot are probably the intellectuals. This is where it comes in, the intellectuals, in particular, the university professors, the lecturers, or the highly educated people. They're supposed to understand such elementary concepts as freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. Yet, for Petian, some are too willing to serve an intellectual as intellectual prostitutes, selling their conscience, principles, and integrity to hop in bed with despicable despots. This is very important to me because that is really showing the responsibility of the elite to contribute in the revolution and the fight of despotic regime. Because based on the knowledge they have, they actually be the people who should understand the concept of democracy, freedom, the rule of law, and therefore they should not be bought to support any despotic regime. We are taking the last comment on this text today, and anybody who want to say the last part on this, please feel free to come in. We are having around, let me check. We're having around 15 minutes to end our session today. But next time we'll continue from the street protest. Anybody? Yes, Sister Lonis?
Yes, I would like to just mention a few points that I think oftentimes when we're having these discussions, we, especially in our present day context, with very elderly leaders who grew up at a particular time during colonization, who were very easily indoctrinated. Very difficult to get someone in their 80s and 90s to change who they are. But I want to say a couple of things that we need to consider. In the African context, chiefs, kings, fawns, etc., were ruling over generally a singular ethnic group, and they were in power for a lifetime. And generally, more often than not, that was passed down within a family or a clan or a lineage, sometimes on rotation, but more often than not, someone would rule for life, then their son would rule, and it would just go on. It would be one family. So people really did develop this xenophobia because they were in their individual ethnic groupings. And many of those leaders never had the experience of ruling more than 2 million people. Now we've undergone colonialism and you've grouped a whole bunch of disparate people in what you call a country, some who never even knew of the existence of another group, even if they were in, 8 or 10 hours distance from those people. And you expect them to very quickly become a nation state. And then you have leaders that know nothing about nation building. I think our expectation of human capacity and leadership in the African context is really a very difficult and complex thing. And often we forget that's internally, forget about the external forces. So I think oftentimes when we are having these discussions, we're not looking at the big picture and trying to understand what our leaders are up against. Not only that, the threat of assassination. How many have been killed by external forces? So a lot of these elderly people are very frightened of trying to change things. And as was previously stated, if you're afraid to die, don't get in this game.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, sister. Sawindo?
Now let it pass. Thank you.
Okay. Badautu? Badautu, are you able to come in? We are towards the end of this session now. Sister Grace? Sister Grace?
Hello. Yes.
Yes.
I was just thinking about the killings. As Africa, we often talk about the people who were and remember them and commemorate them and all sorts, like we do with the Nkrumahs and whoever's, the whole list of them. But we don't talk about the ones we've killed ourselves within. They're just forgotten. The next country doesn't even know about it. So, but it's the same pattern that they're using as the colonizers were doing. They just continued with everything. And talking about the constitution, I heard somebody say, oh, if we tore it, what then? United Kingdom has no constitution, has no written constitution, but it runs. They know how to make their laws about everything and everything. I suppose they were trying to avoid, because what usually happens in places like my country, the only thing people know is the constitution. They don't know the rest of the laws. Nobody knows about them. They're not talked about. I suppose they're not publicized because so people can't use them to exercise their rights. A constitution only has a few lines in it, and they interpret it in the way they want, like they did with the previous election. They just interpreted. They didn't even interpret, because if they did, they wouldn't be now turning around to say, oh, it was wrong, it was wrong. Okay, it was wrong. What are you going to do about it, and what are you going to replace with it? But because the courts were so corrupt, that's how they interpreted things. But now they've realized it's an achievable one. Two, it doesn't even mean that. So, and also we were talking about divide and rule, and also carrot and sticks and what, and payments. Remember when we did the rerun, it was only two candidates, two candidates, two parties. No, not two parties, alliance and the one party competing. So 9 parties became an alliance. One became the opposition. I mean, was being challenged. So they challenged him, and the alliance won. But the alliance didn't exist 2 months later. It was just this one party whose head was on it. And then the other guy who says, oh no, but we agreed that I will rule the first 5 years and then you rule the next 5 years. Now we're going to elections. The guy is killed and he's gone. So these guys are now campaigning by themselves. Nobody wants to ally with them because of what they've done to the country. And it's bad for your party to ally with them. But instead of the two again, people are now going the other side to make alliances. But because he's not giving them seats, it's become a problem. So what they've done now, we've now got 22 people competing for the presidency. Where did these people come from? We've never seen them, we've never heard them. Last 2 months, we've got 22 candidates.
Cameroon has 83 until recently. They have now 13.
So which means people have been given money to go and stand to split the votes against this guy. And people were thinking, okay, if we join as independent, help me here. If somebody won as an independent president, how does he run the country? No political party, nothing. So anyway, we've now got 22 candidates of people we don't know. In fact, one of them came from the United States. And when he went to present his papers, some of the papers were not signed. His vice president did not turn up. He did not sign anything. And then they were telling them that, oh, you have to have a national ID. This is what they do to the diaspora. You have to have a national ID to compete. A passport is bigger than a national ID. Your Malawian passport.
But the passport is not the requirement, Sister Chisomo.
So
The national ID is the requirement.
but we've only just had the national IDs.
Just
And not
get one.
everybody in the country has it. Out of 21 million, only 7 million have them.
Just get one and then you qualify.
And then the cards were confiscated as well. They told them, give us your cards, we want to do something. And they never got them back, which means they've already voted. So many things going on, you just don't even want to listen and to follow it up anymore.
Just leave it there.
Brother Pigeon. And Sister Chisomo said independent candidates, no parties. I think Traore also does not have a political party, right?
Sorry?
He's a military. Military don't have a party.
Yeah.
But you said there's nothing like independent. That's Sister Chisomo.
Hello?
Yes. Sister Chisomo, can you hear me?
Yes.
Just hold it on there.
Yes, I can hear you.
You're bringing very interesting perspective that we might explore later because we are almost coming to an end. Just finish. Then we bring the next person. We have 5 minutes to go.
I don't know. I really don't know.
You said the candidates who are going to run for presidency have already voted because the cards are nowhere.
Huh?
The candidates who are running for presidency in your country were asked to give their cards for voting. And they can't receive their cards anymore, so they have voted.
But by the time they were registering, did they not ask for I tell them that if you don't have an ID card, you can't run. And the process of getting that ID card is so long that they won't even get one.
That is dictatorship. Now those are their tactics in play.
They won't even get one. Why weren't they told from the beginning? And now they're in a stadium presenting their papers, and they're being told at that time that, oh, we've just looked at your papers. Your vice president is not here. Your vice president has not signed, and you have no ID cards. Just to embarrass them.
Okay. Let's get what Brother Madondo has to say, Sister Chisomo, so that we bring this to an end.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, Madondo, Honorable.
Yes, are you getting me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thanks, many thanks. Salutations once again. Right, thanks a lot. I have a special request. I will co-share this book. We want to write a book about this. This one is a very fascinating topic. And the book, I'm going to incorporate the director of Amnesty International. I'm also going to incorporate Joseph Kalimbwe. I wish if he was here. He was not online when this session just started. So Joseph Kalimbwe is also a recipient of receipts of the dictatorship tendencies, or what a few tactics those who have been assessing here. So thanks a lot.
No, Brother Madondo.
I do not. Yes.
Is it the one who was arrested for 500 days?
Yes.
The one who was leading the initiative in Zimbabwe about bringing the opposition forces together?
No, that one is Job Scholar. Job Scholar is the one who have been arrested for 500 days. Then we had a book launch last week. I've managed to greet her and also have a copy on his book launch. And he had a book launch
he was in Kenya, yeah. He was in Kenya, and I met with him. We discussed a lot about how we can advance that anyway.
Yes, I spoke. I remembered last year when I spoke with you, the day I've met him there in Kenya, in Nairobi. Yes. He's called Job Scholar. I will also invite him. in upcoming sessions, and also wish to write a book. About please, I request everyone who is here to share an email, and we'll be starting to work on that book starting from tonight. I'll be drafting some very sacrosanct and very points. Yes.
What do you do, Brother Madon?
Question.
Yes.
Why do we need Amnesty International?
Okay, Amnesty International has been there where others have been apprehended and also have been locked inside prisons, on especially democratic leaders. For instance, we had Hakainde Hichilema in the Republic of Zambia. So when the day of his inauguration, he was shedding tears. So in tears, he invited the director, Depros of Amnesty International, who had his headquarters in Johannesburg. He was the director of Amnesty International in Southern Africa. So Amnesty International has been there where opposition parties has been.
Oops.
Okay.
Yes.
We are
Thanks.
okay. It's okay, Brother
My
Madon.
parting, yes, my parting vagueness at this present moment. I do not have a problem with the dictatorship, despotism, etc. But my problem now lies in the corruption, etc. Because in China they have what would they call a benevolent dictatorship, or I do not have a problem with even a de facto one-party state. But my
I don't like
problem
that.
now lies in the development when a party now is suppressing its citizens, or when a leader is subjugates his citizens or etc, but now fails to develop the state. That is my problem lies on the issue of development, poverty, etc, pauperization, etc. That is my problem right now. Africa has not been developed for 4 decades after our independences. This caused so-called after this so-called flag independences. What are we doing right now? We have Asian tigers. We do not have African tigers.
Okay. It's
So
okay,
thank you.
Madondo.
Yes.
Our time is up, Brother Madondo.
We can have a separate session.
Sister Chisomo,
Eh?
what are you saying?
We can have a separate session to continue discussing.
Drop your email.
No,
okay,
what we'll
drop
do,
your email.
We'll give them to what's his name? Pigeon.
Okay.
Yes.
No, Brother Madondo,
And
drop
then
your
we'll put them all on.
Brother
Even
Madondo,
your WhatsApp numbers. Yes.
Brother Madondo, can
Yes.
you prepare a draft of what you want to share? Let's come in the next class and see that your draft proposition. So do a draft. When you meet in the next class, let's see what you're thinking first, because we can build up the concept as we move along with our meeting. So we can be having our Sunday reviews. You set aside 30 minutes to build up your draft. You go back, you build it up. So we participate collectively in a process, rather than just getting a document and feed in and say that you are part of it. So you can do a draft.
Is that this group or which one?
No, he can do a draft because he's saying he's building a draft from what he has learned from this Pan-African Reading Club, because what you do here is the review of this book. So he can present that review.
The emails, send us the copy, the whatever, the draft.
No, what we need is, once the draft is ready, you can even send me the draft. I'll send to all of you because I have all your contacts. Once the draft is ready, apart from Lones, you can tap me because I've shared my contact, or you can, Brother Madondo, you can equally share your contact in the chat. Somebody who wants to reach out to you can reach out to you directly. But you can reach out to us via the contact in the chat. And Brother Madondo, feel free to share your contact so that somebody can reach out to you directly. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, it is okay.
Are you sharing your contacts now?
He's doing that.
Let me just plus 263.
No, just do it on the chat.
Yes.
Sister Lorraine, kindly reach out to me via my number that I've shared in the chat, so that I can add it to our program.
I've entered my email.
Are you giving us your
Okay. Okay, let me take your email. Brother Frank, we are coming to an end, but I know you've come late. We can just allow you to say something. Or if you wish to be silent, it's okay as well. We do this review every Sunday.
Next time I'll be early. So
Okay.
I came in late, so I can't contribute much. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but I want to share this book in the chat now,
Okay.
so that you can have a copy of it. Maybe you can go through it any other time. Those who maybe are coming across it for the first time. So let me
So
share
which one is the Manondo?
I would like to drop my contact. I'm using a laptop, so there's no option here to type. Sorry for that. But my contact is, please take your pens and diaries. My contact is +263.
Hold on.
+263.
Oh dear. My pen is not writing. Anyway, I'll get it
Okay.
from Pigeon.
No, I have his contact. I can share it to you, Sister Chisomo, directly. And
Yeah.
Brother
Yes.
Madondo, some people have shared their email in the chat. So if you wish to have an email for directing, you can take the emails from the chat. Is that okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
I've also
Many
shared
thanks.
the book. I've also shared this copy of this book in the chat now. So before we close this, have a time to download it so that you can have a copy of it. Just download the book. I've shared it in the chat before we close the session for today. So
it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, we are in chapter 4, which is the modus operandi. Chapter 5 will be looking now at the strategy to counter this mode of operations of dictators. So that's what we'll be looking at chapter 5. How do we counter this? Chapter 4 is basically to tell you how do they operate. So probably there's no solution at this particular moment, but it's just for you to understand that this is their playbook. This is how they operate. This is how they look like. Then chapter 5 will be how do you counter that? So that's how it systematically is being organized. So once again, feel most welcome. This Pan-African Reading Club is an initiative of course, supported by Consciousness Study Group, which does the studies every Thursday. We review the book of Kwame Nkrumah called Consciousness, which is the philosophy and ideology for decolonizing Africa, written by Kwame Nkrumah himself. So that's what is our main class, and that's where the name Consciousness Study Group comes in. We have been doing this virtual reading for Thursdays for the last 3 years without a fail. We have a Saturday unification session where we discuss topics about the unification of Africa. This coming Saturday, we'll be looking at, the next Saturday, we'll be looking at the youth empowerment in Africa for the purpose of liberation, unification, and development of Africa. I also conduct Tuesday Swahili classes for those who don't know, or those who want to learn Swahili from various parts of Africa, supported by Conscious and Study class. And now we came up with this, what we call the Pan-African Reading Club. This Pan-African Reading Club is an initiative of Pan-African Library, which was formed by also support of Conscious and Study Group and other members who are here and those who are not here. And so far we have 7,600 soft copy books of revolutionary books in our YouTube, in our Telegram channel called Consciousness CSG Pan-African Library. And these are books written by various people, including this book we are reviewing today, books of Amika Cabral, book of Sekou Toure, books of all Black writers. Most of them are Black authors. So we have 7,000 collection of soft copy books. You can request them anytime. So that is where we come from, and this is where we are currently. And we're looking forward to initiate more initiatives to move along. So once again, comrades, permit me to thank you for your time, and let's meet again next Sunday, or let's meet on Thursday, or let's meet on Saturday. And if you want to be part of our broadcast list where you can get updates of meetings, because I share meetings of our class and other Pan-African meetings that go on. Once you drop your contact, or once you reach out to me, the contacts I've shared in the chat, I'll add you to that broadcast list. So any meeting that is coming up that pertains Pan-Africanism, you'll get a notification. If you have time, you can join. Any resources, we always share there. If you have time, you can review them. So that's what I'll ask of you. So let's end it here. We always end it exactly at 11 in Kenyan time.
I posted a video in the conscientious group It's
Okay.
by a South African guy, can be Ike or something. Please
Okay.
listen to it. It's
Okay, I'll
exactly
listen
what
to that.
we're reading in this book, what he
Okay, thank you.
explains about South Africa. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. So bye-bye for now, Comrades. Let's
Bye.
meet again next week.